Hey guys, welcome to the Daily Show. I'm your host Khalid Moiden. This is my co-host Aditya, and today we're going to be discussing various topics. Now, first and foremost, breaking news. Well, it was breaking when we recorded the show. It is all about the England tour. South Africa going to be facing England in a T20 series, an ODI series, as well as a Test series. Let's just bring the fixtures on the screen for you. We've got the ODI series, which kicks off in July, 19th of July. There will be 3 ODIs played. There are a T20 series will also be played. That will happen in the end of July. And then we have the Test series, 3 Test matches starting on the 17th of August, going right through till September. So it's a hectic tour. Hopefully you guys can get involved with the Patreon and get involved with all the super chats, etc., so that you can help me go and watch this tour live and cover this tour live. Perhaps you guys can help us out with regards to that. But good news from a South African point of view when it comes to getting match time and getting such a big series, a big tour of England, massive for the players, massive for experience with regards to some of the younger guys in the team. But what are your thought processes going into this tour or the announcement of this tour? I mean, where South Africa is sitting currently under Boucher and with regards to wins and losses and all of those things, which we will get to later in the show because we will be discussing Mark Boucher and his tenure as coach so far up to date. But a good tour. It's always an honor to go and tour England, isn't it, Aditya? You guys are currently facing that.
Yes, Khalid, an England tour is always a marquee series, and it's one that every South African cricket fan should be excited for. To have the full stretch. Of an ODI series, a T20 series, and a Test series. So it's full throttle, and everyone should be excited for it. There should be significant hype going into that series. But in saying that. Particularly for the test side, I'm a little bit apprehensive because I don't know how much test cricket is being played leading up to the series. Remember, for England, right before the South Africa series in June, they're playing 3 test matches against New Zealand. And that will mean that England are better prepared to play South Africa. So South Africa cannot afford to start playing that series undercooked. We saw what happened earlier this year during the World Test Championship final, where India went in with literally no test match exposure before the game, whereas New Zealand had played two test matches against England and won the series before that. So they were far better prepared to win that World Test Championship final compared to India. So I think that is going to be an important consideration for South Africa, and I hope that CSA plans a few test series ahead of the England series.
Yeah. So I looked through a couple of fixtures, etc., and I got this list. Obviously, the one in September, October is not going to happen, and that was that tour that we were supposed to have against India before the tour started. Doesn't look like that's going to happen with the postponement of the IPL or the rescheduling of the IPL. So December, January, we know that India come to South Africa. Now, that's a massive tour for South Africa because it's an opportunity also for India to get their first series win in South Africa from that perspective. It's a massive tour for them. So, and coming off their current form, if they end up winning the series in England, which is looking like it can go, it's going down to the wire currently. So let's see if they can win it. And if they come with that momentum into South Africa, something we're really going to struggle with. They do have a couple of other tours penciled in over here that need to still be confirmed. I'm gonna obviously have to talk to the guys at CSA and ask them if they all have been confirmed. But if we can get that tour to New Zealand and then that tour against Bangladesh with 2 Test series and 2 tests over there, that could prepare us, I feel, going into the England series a little bit. I think that will give us enough preparation. New Zealand's a very tough test team. Bangladesh too, with a new coaching staff as well. We have some South Africans on that list over there that really know South Africa very well. So if Boucher is still in the position as coach after this World Cup, and takes us right through until the England series, well, then he's got a tough touring season to go ahead, because these are all top nations that we have to play against. So if that happens, Aditya, would you feel comfortable if South Africa can get some good performances against those teams leading into the England tour? Would you feel a little bit more comfortable if those are confirmed 100%?
Yeah, look, it's ideal to have some preparation sort of right before that test series, but we also know that the international schedule is such that it's very difficult to fit in series during the IPL and things like that. So I think what if these tours that you just mentioned are confirmed, I think that would be some solid preparation for Dean Elgar's team to really find its feet in Test cricket and discover a template that works for them. But in saying that, I do think that even with this schedule, England are going to be a better prepared team, and South Africa need to brace for that.
Yeah. Because we're still struggling for identity, I feel, even in the test team when it comes to our team selections, etc. But we will obviously talk about that on this channel. That's why you subscribe to this channel. That's why you click that notification bell, because we update you with all these things. We do so many shows on so many different levels. So, guys, please get involved over there. Okay, let's get into the main topic of today's show. I thought that it is necessary that we speak after another series defeat under Mark Boucher against Sri Lanka. I think we have to have a chat about this, because there have been a lot of guys on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, that have called Mark Boucher out and have said that he should be sacked as coach. And we know that fans are very emotional, and with regards to the amount of series lost, etc., it can be very hurtful for the fans. So I'm going to bring up his stats so far. We're still waiting for, obviously, the T20 series against Sri Lanka to take place. But Mark Boucher's record so far as a cricket coach for South Africa, with regards to all formats, his win percentage is only 29.16%. That is extremely low as a coach of a massive team like the Proteas. Now, yes, we know that it was going to be a rebuilding phase. We know that it was going to be a process that we were going through, sounding like Arsenal fans, trust the process. But with regards to this, we can see in test series, it's a 50-50 split over there. In ODI series, also a 50-50 split over there. But that T20I record going into a World Cup is very poor. And we have to get a series win against Sri Lanka to get some confidence going, because yes, you can be positive if you want to be a positive thinker, like I am myself. I'm going to be a positive thinker going into this and say, look here, because we've lost so many games, because we've had so many difficult experiences, we would have learned the most coming out of those series. And hopefully they can learn from that, because looking at the ODI series, there were some positives regards to the way we played against spin, particularly in the second ODI, but not in the third. So we get this hot and cold flushes in a way, I feel, when it comes to the Proteas team, because on the one moment we are very high and believe that we've turned the corner, and then around the corner we go straight into a wall or into a barricade. So it's very tricky to be a Proteas fan currently, because every time we think we've turned the corner and learned something new, then we look like complete amateurs directly afterwards. So yeah, it is quite tricky, Aditya, but I think because we have a World Cup right around the corner, do you think it will be a little bit too premature to say, look, you guys, sack Boucher now, then have a new coach going into a World Cup? It's the wrong time to do that. Or do you disagree with that statement?
Look, we don't want to generate debate of the kind, sack Boucher versus don't sack Boucher. I think that would be, we don't want to be spreading negativity on the channel. But the
hashtag
facts,
Boucher in, hashtag Boucher out. You don't want to have that going over here on the channel.
but the numbers don't lie, and the numbers are poor. After Boucher was appointed coach, there was this wave of optimism, particularly given Boucher's record at the Titans. And it felt like the Proteas would turn the corner there, because 2019 also wasn't a great year for South Africa. They lost a home series to Sri Lanka. They did poorly at the World Cup, did terribly against India, and then they lost to England 3-1 as well. So, 2019 wasn't a great year, and it felt like, Boucher was the remedy to all the solutions there, with Callis coming in as batting consultant, Paul Harris coming in there as well. So there was a lot of hype there, but unfortunately, the results are not reflective of the superstars and the coaching team of South Africa. And at the moment, with yesterday's result as well, with the team not being able to chase down 200 runs in spinning conditions, it doesn't bode well for the T20 series and the World Cup. So look, Boucher, I'm sure will be well aware of the pressure that he's under, and it's I'm sure that there will be a conversation after the series, and certainly after the World Cup, given South Africa's performances there. But at the moment, it seems like it would take a miracle for South Africa to do well at that World Cup. You know? But in
Yeah,
saying that,
and
I
in
also want to make one other point, uh, which is that sometimes I feel like in sporting teams, ones that are as complex as South Africa, perhaps, or like India, you know, sometimes I feel like it's good to have an infusion of fresh energy in terms of a foreign coach. I'm not suggesting that Boucher should be replaced with a foreign coach, but it's something that South Africans should perhaps consider. Because I remember India were doing terribly in the late 90s and early 2000s. When John Wright came in, and his calm demeanor as a New Zealander, worked in great partnership with Saurav Ganguly, and he really turned Indian cricket around. And that really worked for us. And similarly, you look at England as well. Duncan Fletcher did a great job as England coach. Andy Flower was very successful as an England coach. So sometimes I feel like these environments just require that fresh perspective, fresh infusion of energy. I'm sure supporters of Enoch and Jeffrey Toyana will not be very happy with what I'm saying, but I'm just not making any suggestions here. I'm just saying that it's a perspective to consider.
even if they just bring someone in a specialist position, like a batting coach or a bowling coach that is from overseas. Like, look here, Charles Langeveld has done excellently, I feel, with the bowlers. I don't think by any means he should be replaced, but I'm saying we don't have a batting coach currently that travels with the team necessarily. We only have a batting lead. So why not get a batting coach that can come into that position, that is foreign, that understands foreign conditions maybe as well, and that has had success overseas maybe? That would also be another option. And get someone like that into the setup. It will really, I think that would help. Actually, that's a good point that you're making. But Boucher was called out basically in the press conference. He was asked about his record and about losing so often in recent times. And this is what he had to say.
I think you've got to look at where we're playing. We're playing in some tough conditions as well. The history of South Africa against Sri Lanka at the Proteas Stadium, and it's not a good record that we've got in South Africa. I think I'm looking at the positives. We've come here. Yes, we're missing a couple of senior batters, especially. But I thought, the first game, we put up a good fight. If I look at the series as a whole, you come to a subcontinent and you're playing in these conditions. We were given an opportunity to win the series in the first game. I think that we were very in control of that run chase, and we maybe slipped up in a period of 5 overs. We may be unfortunate as well to lose timber when we did, but in order to win a series in the subcontinent, you've got to cash in when that opportunity arises. So I think that is probably our biggest regret, that we didn't finish off that first game. The second game we played really well. And in the last game, as I said, which happens in these conditions at times, you lose a couple of wickets up front, you're always going to be on the back foot. So there's a lot of positives to take out of this series as well. Yes, it's not nice losing, but our focus has got to change quickly now to the T20s, and obviously looking forward to the T20 World Cup as well. So not nice to lose, but a lot of good things that we can take out of this as well.
Okay, cool. So that speaks for itself, I feel. My concerns are with Boucher is that when he came into the position, there was an emphasis on bringing a winning mentality, bringing a winning mindset. We got a lot of that from Graham Smith in his presser, and that they needed to change the culture of the team and to go back to those winning ways, etc. And where I felt at that particular time, South Africa needed a reboot. South Africa needed to grow a team that had that mentality within them. And something that I would have liked to see is a key group of youngsters being trusted. Selecting a couple of guys and saying, these are the future, these are the guys that are going to take us for the next 5, 10 years, or 5 years at least. Let's just start with the 5 year plan and say the next 5 years till 2023, let's just push and trust these group of players and give them time to actually play these series, learn from that. Because I don't think they would have done any worse than the current crop of players that have been performing poorly, because there are a lot of guys that are close to their 30s or in their 30s that are in the squad that have been performing poorly. So for me, if you level them next to each other and you put a youngster versus a guy that's a little bit older, the youngster will get more experience from getting a 20 or 30 in subcontinent conditions than a guy that is already in his 30s. So I feel that that's how they should have went with the direction. But I got a mix throughout the time when it comes to selection. You get a mixture of this. We're not really 100% sure if that's the direction he's going or that's not. What he said in this particular clip is that they learned a lot from the series, and I would hope so, because something similar happened in this series than what happened when India toured South Africa in 2018, where it's a similar type of thing that he's saying over there in a way, because they, or what, from my assumption or from my observation of the actual tour and the way this particular last ODI went, their new spinner debutant took us apart. We didn't know how to play him, and that's obviously because of a lack of experience of players having played against him. Maybe that could be something, but it shows that there is a lack against playing spin, especially when they bring in someone new, because then otherwise opposition will know. All we need to do is bring a debutant that they've never played against before, can spin the ball a little bit, and we'll knock over South Africa easily, because they haven't had any way of strategically planning for this guy other than a couple of clips maybe that they've seen of him, if they even have any clips of him available to be able to see how he plays.
It's a bit tricky. So just to unpack Boucher's presser a little bit, what in that clip that you just displayed right now, he talks about tough conditions and that we've learned about. In this year, 2021, South Africa have played a test series in Pakistan. They've played a T20 series in Pakistan. They've played an ODI series against Pakistan at home. They've played a T20 series against Pakistan at home. And they're now playing Sri Lanka in an ODI series. And they've also played in slowish conditions. They've played West Indies in a test series and West Indies in a T20 series. So technically, this year, they've basically largely played in spinning conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And it begs the question that if you've learned from every series, when exactly is the team going to implement it?
Yeah, 100%. That's
year,
exactly true.
This
Even
year,
Ireland. Ireland was also, even Ireland was slower conditions.
This year, South Africa have largely played in foreign conditions. So we can't say that, this is a young group and they're not experienced. Most players back in pre-pandemic days would not be playing in spinning conditions as often as South Africa have this year. And if I'm just thinking back to the 2015 series between South Africa and India, which was played in India, where South Africa defeated India in a T20 series quite easily. They defeated India in a 5-game ODI series also quite easily. And I'm just thinking, where did all that knowledge go? Surely it's not like everything is down to the skill of the player, because like you said, if the secret to to the unraveling of a South African batting lineup is throwing a debutant in, then I guess they're not really playing by the old adage, watch the ball, not the bowler. And somewhere
Yeah.
something seems to be lost because, I'm thinking back to that 2015 series between South Africa and India, where the T20 series was won quite easily, and it had superstars like MS Dhoni, Suresh Raina, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Ashwin, Jadeja, and that same team played the ODIs as well. And I think in the ODIs, Quinton de Kock, Hashim Amla, Faf du Plessis, and Avery Villiers all had brilliant series. All of them performed. Like Faf du Plessis, he scored in 5 games, he scored 450s and 100. He was averaging 80. That's ridiculous numbers.
Yeah.
So somewhere, I don't know if that knowledge has not been transferred, or um, players are not equipped technically and mentally to deal with this, or perhaps they're overthinking these things. I don't know.
Yeah. You know what I think it is, Aditya? Because there is a common trend here if you look through the history of South African cricket. There's a common trend, particularly in knockout tournaments, it gets shown. But when the pressure is on and you're really facing the pressure, and that pressure is felt amongst the team, they crumble. So we've seen this in World Cups, in knockout competitions consistently, Champions trophies as well. We've seen this happen. So in the with regards to that is where the mental shift has to change, because we do know that the ability, inverted commas, is there. We saw in the second ODI the way the way Yanaman Malan played. We know that he had frailties. For him to score another half century or a century in the last ODI as well, statistically, it's not common for that to happen. For guys to score consecutive good scores. Normally, there is a break in between. If you look at in the history books, yes, there are obviously occasions when it's happened. And so the way Asalanka played in this particular series, we saw him get consecutive half centuries, big half centuries as well, very, very tough ones to score. Okay, he almost got there in the third. He could have gotten 3 consecutive half centuries, but he fell short in the 40s. But those things are rare. You don't often see guys do that. When Aiden Markram scored consecutive half centuries recently in the T20 series, that's not often heard of. You know what I mean? Those are the outlier performances with regards to cricket, because that's the problem with cricket. Cricket is one of those sports where you fail more than you succeed. It's just naturally like that. So that's why it's so hard to maintain averages of 50 plus, because you fail so much in cricket. That's just unfortunate. So yeah, you can see that Janneman improved. He did find sort of way, but I still said I saw a bit of, when the ball was really spinning, that he did get a little bit of a shock. He still showed that it was more of desperation blocking and desperation playing off the back foot. But in Aiden's game, there has been an improvement. Now, Rassie van der Dussen has been consistent in no matter what conditions he's played. His might be a form issue, not necessarily a ability to play against spin. I don't think that's an issue for Rassie. I think Rassie's more of a just a dip in form, because he's been excellent consistently. There has to be a time that he needs to dip in form. Okay,
But he
just
was at
adding
59, so he was fine. I don't think
Yeah, so he's fine, yeah.
before. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, generally speaking, I mean, we're having 1 half century here and there from Rassie throughout every series. Then if you add Quinton de Kock in here, it's experience with spin. If you add Faf in this particular setup, it's experience with spin. If you add David Miller into the setup, it's experience spin. And it would have been a whole different ODI series, I feel, if 2 of those guys played, obviously David Miller and Quinton de Kock. So that's not an excuse, because I feel that the backup should be able to do the job, and we should have been able to get over the line. But as soon as the pressure was there, we wobbled. As soon as we lost 1 wicket, it looked, early wicket, it was, the nerves were back. And it's almost like they threw all the information that they learned from the second ODI out of the window. Chasing, it's 2 games that we were chasing also that we lost now. So when we set the total and we're bowling to defend a total, we seem to come out on top more often with this current crop of players. But yeah, Aditya, what are your final thoughts on this, on regards to Boucher, and how the fan base should react towards the recent defeat?
I think everyone should be disappointed with the results, and sure, for all the positives that are to take out of this series, and the fact that in the first two games, South Africa posted 290 each, but ultimately it's the finals that matter. It's series deciders that matter. It's performing in challenging conditions that matter. And South Africa didn't do it yesterday. So Boucher will be under tremendous pressure. I'm sure of that. And I don't think there's going to be a lot of patience for him if South Africa don't do well in the World Cup for sure. And either way, I think there's going to be some sort of a reassessment of what Boucher's role will be going forward in South African cricket. But more than that, somewhere I feel like this team has still not developed a template for performance in ODI and T20 cricket. And I don't think there's always this need to reinvent the wheel. England did that because the nature of county cricket and some of the players in white ball county cricket was such that they were the explode from ball one sort of players, like Bairstow, Hales, Jason Roy, Jos Butler, and so on. And perhaps that explode from ball one sort of cricket works for England, but South Africa is not that team, and so they have to find a different way of getting to 300 or 340 and 350. And what really baffles me is that when the team is under pressure, there isn't a batsman who just goes back to the basics and plays the ball along the ground, runs hard between the wickets, just sticks around. You don't always have to score at 140, 150 strike rate, or you don't always have to score at 7 runs and over. And that to me is where I feel like there are frustrations, because you look at the lineup, Aiden, Yanaman, Temba. That top three is quite similar to India's top three in the way that they structure their games. Aiden is an impact player just like Rohit Sharma is. I've drawn that comparison a number of times. Quinton de Kock, who's rested, but generally is quite an attacking player, like Shikhar Dhawan is. And Temba Bavuma also likes to play along the ground, rotate strike, a lot like Virat Kohli does. But the only difference is that in the Indian team, the top three is producing results. Virat Kohli is averaging close to 60 in ODI cricket. Rohit Sharma is averaging close to 50. So they're all churning out big hundreds. But at the moment, that's not happening with the South African team. And somewhere I feel like each individual needs to start getting more confident in his game.
100%. So, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to obviously click the eye on the top right of the screen for your latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine, and all the back issues 100% free. Also, don't forget to smash that like button, comment in the comment section, and share this with all your friends and families. And also subscribe and click the notification bell for all future videos. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow with another daily show. Take care, everybody.